Alright, so a lot of you have been asking for it, and so here it is. Behind the scenes, how I make a song. And what I do when I make a song is I'm always focused on the idea of less is more. So I like to keep my arrangements as minimal as possible, keep only what works, get rid of the rest. And this song is basically a demo, just a little rough thing I made based on some samples that I got from my Connect, Tommy Coyne from the 808 Gorillas. And I'm just messing around here. So I'm just going to show you a little quick rundown of what I do, my process when I'm making a song. This doesn't apply to every song, of course, because every song I make goes through a slightly different process. But just so you have an idea. And by the way, you don't need any kind of expensive, fancy equipment to start making music. At the moment, all I'm using right now is just a Inspiron 17-inch, I think. And before I even got this, I only got this last year. Before I got this, every song I had ever made was on a computer that was actually 11 years old. It's older than that now. It's like 13 years old. We don't even use it, but that's what I started on, an 11-plus-year-old desktop computer from Compaq. And I made the majority of the songs that I ever produced on that giant, heavy old computer that at one point, near the end of its usefulness, the only thing I could open and run on that computer was FL Studio, ironically. So here it is. Without further ado, let's get started. First things first, I always start with the drums. Usually I get an idea for a melody of a bass line before I even do anything, but it's like the drums and the bass, that's what I always hear first, 9 times out of 10, so that's what I work on first. And that shadow that you're seeing is just the camera, and this is my first time actually doing a behind the scenes of me making a song, so it's kind of hard to place the camera exactly where it needs to be. So bear with me. Check this out. That's the bass line. Then we got the kicks. There's a little bit of lag because of this recording program I've got in the background. Just really nice, clean 808 type drums. And I always like my drums knocking as hard as I can make them, so I can't even remember the last time I did a session where I didn't use parallel compression. And the compressor I tend to use on the majority of the mixes I've made is a freeware plugin called Camel Crusher. There's a payware version with way more features, but I feel like this one does most of what I need it to do pretty reliably, so that's the one I always use. Let's turn the reverb off on that clap. And this is a normal 808 hi-hat. I don't really like the sound of 808 hi-hats. They're just too artificial to me. So even though I've used them rarely, but when I use them, I try to put some kind of effect on them just to make them feel a little bit more spontaneous. You know, not like that machine gun water fountain, garden hose sprinkler type of thing. So this is just a little, flanger that came with the program. And if you didn't know, this is just FL Studio and that's what I've been using pretty much since I started making music. And you know me, I love to make really relaxing music, so I'll give it a little bit of road action. Keys. Actually, I should be a little more specific because this is a sample. I don't know what's in the sample, but it sounds like just some Wurlitzer type of keyboard with a lot of effects already placed into it. And then I kind of layered that with this synthesizer. Also comes with FL. It's called, there's two versions of it. It's called Harmor, and then there's a light version of that called Harmless. It just has less options, less presets. I'm just using all the presets for pretty much everything right now, just to show you guys what I do. And this is the Dream Keys FG preset, which sounds like this. It kind of gives you a West Coast vibe, doesn't it? And whenever I'm layering sounds, because I layer everything like crazy just to give it that extra size and that thickness. But what I'm really trying to do when I layer instruments isn't just to make things sound louder. I actually want each layer instrument to provide a different tone to the overall sound. So the Dream Keys synth gives us a really nice glassy tone that kind of contrasts or gives a little bit of a clarity or a tack to the sample, which is just kind of like a Wurlitzer, so it's really soft sounding. And then we've got this again, another preset, just giving us a little bit of a West Coast vibe with this whole track, man. This preset is the Dwarf MC. It's just a really basic sine wave with a lot of chorusing and delays on it. It just makes the whole thing sound really mellow. And when I put that in the mix, I like to have it as low, almost at the same level as the keys. Here we go with the bass. Hopefully you're listening to this on a really good speaker system. Yeah. Thing you notice about me is I love organs. Church organs, pipe organs, Hammond organs, the more, you know, the more of that rotary, that vinyl, you know, I mean not vinyl, but I mean that Leslie effect that you put on the organ, the better to me, you know. If you listen to stuff like the 60s type of music, like The Doors, that the beauty of making this type of music anyway is that you don't need real instruments. You just need to understand the instrument that you're playing, so that way you can give a realistic performance, if that makes sense. Now I'm just going to try a quick mix on it. And I already have a preset of plugins and settings that I use to get my final mix whenever I'm distributing things online or whatever. Keep in mind that turning something down is actually the same action as turning something up. You get the same result. So if we don't want our song to be loud, we'll actually turn the instruments down. If we want our song to be quieter, you start off with an already loud mix. Because after you have a loud mix, you can't go really, you can't go past the ceiling. Does that make sense? The thing you need to know about 808s and just bass instruments in general is that they take up a lot of energy. So you usually only want one instrument that plays the lowest parts of the frequency scale, like from 20 hertz to 20k. In this case, it's our kick drum. And it's kind of lingering on a little bit, so I'm just going to use a gate. See how the gate just kind of make the sound hit faster, a little bit tighter too. So what I need to do is roll off some of the lows in my bass line. And it's only recently I call it a bass line. I always actually just called it bass. And whenever I was going around people, I'm saying, change the bass. The bass? The bass? You mean the bass? And they're always looking at me like, what's a bass? The fish? I still do that from time to time. And the only reason I'm not doing it right now is because I'm trying to impress you all. That's basically it, man.